Hey, from Kyle Field, I'm Nick Kuzma with Travis Brown. Travis, the Maroon and White spring game is officially in the book. Spring football is officially over. I'm not going to ask you how you feel about that, if you're excited about it being over or not. But
I'm very excited.
No
spring football's not my favorite. Yeah. But it was a good time had by all. What you want for is a little bit of excitement in the game, and this one came down to the last play. Helman Kasuga, I'm not sure if I'm going to get that name right down here soon.
I'm going to say you're right.
Yeah, if the freshman quarterback drives his Maroon team down the field, hits Luke Braden in the end zone in the last play of the game for a touchdown. Everybody goes wild. The white team's running over in front of the Maroon team's running over for the white team's bench and taunting and laughing, and you want that from a spring game. Got to see a lot of the kickers though, because there was times the offense looked good. Red zone wasn't that great, but they're still working on stuff like that, and defense bend but don't break on both sides. So Mike Elko said he needs to go back and watch everything, but for the most part, it's a lot about having fun. It's a lot about competing. It's a lot about kind of getting the juices flowing, and it seems like they did a lot of that today.
Yeah, Mike Elko, I don't know if he was joking, was sort of serious in saying that it's hard to extract anything from this game because he didn't have the iPad in front of him. He was, I guess they call him the commissioner out there of the game, and you had multiple different play callers. It's all your guys playing out there. But for you, from the press box, was there anyone in particular that really stood out to you?
Yeah, I think it's got to be the two guys were Isaiah Horton and Jamari Morrow. Isaiah Horton goes out there and has himself a day. He leads the Maroon team.
That was the rushing stats.
There's the receiving stats. He has 79 yards on 3 catches, along with 33. The biggest thing, though, the most impressive play of the game was this contested catch he had over on the corner right here. Brady Hart gives him a perfect ball. He kind of has to do this hugging kind of thing around the defender, kind of catches it behind the defender's back and watches all the way in. He said during spring practice earlier this year that there are no 50-50 balls with him. It's all in his favor when the ball kind of goes into those situations, and he was able to prove it today. And then goes off and has 2 other catches for some big gains for the Aggies. Made the potential backup Brady Hart look pretty good out there. And then Jamari Morrow, he's a guy who's impressed me in practice too. When they've had some big runs in some of the practices we've been able to see, he's usually been the one carrying the ball. He's Mike Elko said in spring practice he was kind of banged up a little bit. They're just kind of finally getting him back to full go, and he had some pretty explosive runs, especially early in this game. But it was a lot of the second string guys, third string guys, and the starters not so much. So a little bit more for the future too.
Yeah, it's hard to really ever know in these spring games exactly what you're looking at. I've covered spring games before, not here, obviously, where MVPs are guys that really aren't that big of impact players in the fall. But
now, I got to ask you too.
Yeah.
I know we're going to have to put lots of caveats in this because this was a spring game that was supposed to be later in the day. It got moved up pretty last minute.
It was a little chilly.
There was a little chilly out here. There was going to be some rain, but this is your first Kyle Field football experience. What stood out to you? What was the experience like?
I enjoyed our experience, and I probably enjoyed it more as a media member where there wasn't traffic coming into the game, and we got an easy parking spot. We came in, but in all seriousness, it was still cool to see how many people did fill out sort of that middle section. I would not say this was an overly impressive crowd by the numbers by any means, but those that did come with energy, and it seemed like they had a good time, and it actually did get a little loud when we had that game-winning touchdown.
And you didn't get the full experience. Our fellow reporter Aaron Patterson will be happy to know that there was no cannon in here, and if you're not ready for the cannon can get you.
Yeah,
it'll scare you, especially if you're one of the guys on the sidelines. So you didn't get to experience that yet. That'll come in the fall.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's that's good to kind of break the ice at Kyle Field.
How much of our video is affected in the we a little behind inside baseball we call a shot after a play, a hero shot. How many hero shots are affected by the cannon, by just the shake?
Oh, so many, and so many gnats that you can't use because of some 4-letter words that are uttered. It's either we'll throw Aaron under the bus here. There's some good ones that we'll have to show you when we get back to the studio.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I think we should also touch on the fact that there are new coordinators in this game. Travis, you obviously got to hear from both of them heading into this game throughout the last, month month plus with spring practice. Just, I guess, what do you think of the new coordinators, and how do you think they're going to, positively impact or negatively impact this offense and defense?
Yeah, I wrote about Holman Wiggins, the offensive coordinator, before this game. Got to talk to Justin Fuente, who was the longtime, Virginia Tech, Memphis head coach, was an offensive coordinator at TCU. He was the one who kind of was one of Holman's supervisors when he first started his career at Illinois State, and then Fuente brought him back when he was at Memphis to coach the wide receivers. And there's Wiggins said that Fuente was one of his kind of main mentors. There's a lot of similarities in what they like to do. There's tempo. There's a lot of speed on the outside. If you think back to his TCU days with Andy Dalton when they went to the Rose Bowl, it was kind of similar to a Colin Klein. They had a lot of speed on the outside. They were throwing the ball around, but they were also establishing the run and using some tight ends. So he said that they are going to establish the run, work off the running backs. He himself was a former running back at New Mexico, but the wide receivers said they're going to throw the ball around. Now, I know you're trying not to get a lot of people hurt, so you're not going to run the ball a lot in these games, but we're throwing the ball around. I think we'll see more just straight RPO action than maybe under Colin Klein. There's a lot of play action bootlegs from the guys today, and so that is something that I'm going to kind of keep my eye out, because there was times where I wondered if getting the quarterback out in space on the designed on the run might open some stuff up a little more. Defensively, I think there's a little something to be seen there, because you're not just really, really going full out on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's no sacks. The quarterbacks aren't live, so you can't really see the pass rush. So something to be seen there, but it's not going to be a whole lot of difference on that side of the ball, because it's Mike Elko's defense, and he's the one who's calling the play. So that's going to look pretty similar. It's the offense that could have some tweaks, and I think you'll probably see a little more tempo, maybe throwing around a little bit more, maybe a little bit more RPO.
Yeah, I think that's always sort of one of the bigger caveats in the spring game is you do see some level of physicality. There was some violence on defense. I thought there was.
You like that word today. You said violence a lot today.
I did say that a lot today. I thought there was a good amount of that, but obviously, you can't do that to the quarterback, right? And so, therefore, because you're not going to see a quarterback get sacked, you're also not going to see Marcel Reed break one. So, like you said, it could be more of an offense that allows for the run game, but we're not designed runs with the quarterback. But it's just not something that you're really going to see in the spring game.
I have a bone to pick about. So the end of the game, it was kind of 3s and 4s against 3s and 4s. You had, I'm going to get it wrong, with the freshman Helman Kasuga at quarterback on the Maroon team, marching it down for the game-winning run. They go for it on 4th down, and I have a little bit of a bone to pick maybe for the white team, because they go for it on 4th down and they run the quarterback sneak on 4th and 2.
Yes,
and you can't tackle the quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's a little that's a little iffy.
The first down.
And they gave him the first down.
Yep.
But he does come up big and connects for the game-winning touchdown there at the end to give the Maroon team the win. But yeah, what are some of your observations?
Yeah, I like I said, I thought the defense looked really good today, and I did ask Mike Elko about that, and I was sort of wondering, because there's so much of practice that we don't get to see when we go to these open sessions. There's a lot of stretching, and then it's a lot of individual indie work. So I was wondering, has the defense been ahead of the offense throughout spring? He said no. He said it's actually been back and forth. So I thought that's sort of an interesting point in how these two the two sides of the ball can maybe in so many ways not outplay each other, but rather hold up each other on their opposite ends. And then I just another takeaway was I think how much of a bummer it might be, because we did have a major injury today.
Yeah, the other thing we haven't talked about too is the special teams.
Yeah.
Almost all the points scored on kicks.
The kicks were good. The kickers were good.
Asher Murray, Asher Murray. I was trying to pull up the actual thing here, and of course my phone froze. Hit a 53-yarder.
Yeah.
And he might be the backup to David Alano. We haven't seen a lot of Alano in practice, but he was out there. He hit a couple over 40 yards, if I'm not mistaken. And so the kicking, that was a real point of contention for this team last year. They had 2 kickers, but if you have 2 kickers, do you really have a kicker kind of situation? Yeah. And there were some times late in the season where it came down to some kicks, and they didn't have it. And so I think that's going to be definitely something to watch moving forward. Alano's the transfer, but if you have a guy who can kick a 53-yarder in kind of a game type situation, it's pretty impressive too.
Yeah, another another interesting thing was that Isaiah Horton was back there receiving punts, and that's another aspect of the game that we don't get to really see come to full light because they sort of received a punt and that was it. There was really no breakaway. There was no really attempt to get down the field, pick up yards, and score. But if he is back there, I am really interested to see like what his explosiveness can do to affect special teams.
I think one other thing to point out here, because there's always a lot of talk about the quarterback. I think it's pretty obvious, that Marcel Reed is the guy, even to the point of he only played 5 series, I think, in this game. They knew what they had in him. They were just going to get him some time and then get him out of there. But I think it's pretty obvious that Brady Hart is the clear and away number 2. You have Castuga, the freshman, was kind of the third guy to get in there.
The hero of sorts today.
Well, he was the hero, but he also was the guy that in his first pass, he threw a pretty obvious pick six to McHale, who ended up taking it into the touchdown score, or taking it in the end zone and scoring. And then Eli Morcos, who was in there at times. But I think it's pretty obvious from what we can see. We don't know this from Elko. They're still going to take it in the fall. But Brady Hart is pretty hands in a way that going to be the backup, you would think, in these situations. And he looked pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. And now it's, I guess sort of one of the more interesting parts of the year, though, like you're not seeing anything. And so it might not seem that interesting. But the transition from spring into the summer, eventually to the fall is something that we don't get to see, but is really important in developing a team and showing what we're going to see come late August and then into September. What do you think these next, 150 some odd days need to look up before kickoff?
Yeah, they have a lot of young guys, especially a lot of young wide receivers who could play a part. We've seen a lot from Aaron Gregory in practice, and he's looked really good in practice. He was a little quiet out here today, but just getting them further integrated into the system, getting them a little stronger, getting them in the weight room. It's kind of all those things. But I think now we don't know anything about Damian Stanford's injury. Mike Elko said afterwards that it's just they're going to evaluate. And
we should probably walk through that, just what exactly
you're
happened.
Right. We just shot our thing for the 6th, so I'm trying to remember what we did for that and what we're doing for this. But Damian Stanford was injured in the end of the first half. He was trying to make a tackle on a running back, kind of got pushed backwards, and his leg awkwardly rolled up underneath him. Trainers went out to look at him. Pretty immediately, they waved for the cart, and they put his lower leg, the ankle type area, shin area, into an air splint. It was below the knee, so it wasn't one of the ones that goes all the way over the knee, but then loaded him up onto the cart, and he was having to ride the cart out. It's quite a blow for the Aggies. We talked to Noah McHale after the game, and he said he believes that he could quite possibly be the best player on defense. He was just named a team captain, and he was probably one of the best players on A&M's defense last season when he came in for Scooby Williams, and Scooby Williams got hurt, and by his play kind of inked his name into the starting lineup. So I think dovetailing that into your question, I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on the linebacking core, especially if he can't go, if it's that serious. Who's going to be that next guy up? Because they're already going to have to replace one guy with Sanford kind of returning from last year, but now they might have to replace 2, and that all of a sudden becomes an interesting piece to this whole puzzle. Yeah,
so spring ball is officially in the books with a 15-13 Maroon team victory over the White here in the spring game. Travis, spring, we lucked out and we didn't have too many super hot days. I guess I shouldn't expect that in the fall.
And it is windy and kind of cold right now.
It's chilly. Like I could kind of use a jacket.
Yeah, I think we should go inside.
Yeah, I think we should. All right. He's jumping around my hot question. I guess he doesn't want to talk about it.
Okay, what's the hot question?
I said, how hot is it going to get?
Oh, in the summer?
Yeah, in the summer.
I don't want to think about that yet.
Yeah.
It's going to get really hot. Just wait until you have to cover State 7-on-7 tournament on turf fields over at Veterans Park.
And on that note, we're going to close it out from Kyle Field. Thanks so much for watching us. That's Travis, and I'm Nick, KBTX Sports.